BingX, a trusted global crypto exchange. Trade spot, futures, or copy top traders easily. Sign up via the link or referral code to get 30 USDT instantly, plus up to 1,500 USDT in bonuses for verification, deposit, and trading.
New research suggests that greenhouse gas emissions linked to the development of the Scarborough gas project by Australian fossil fuel company Woodside could be responsible for at least 480 deaths and expose over 500,000 people to extreme heat. Scientists from 6 universities have meticulously examined the potential climate repercussions of this ambitious $16.5 billion undertaking, slated to commence production off the coast of northern Western Australia next year. Over a span of 3 decades, the project is projected to release an astonishing 876 million tons of carbon dioxide into the Earth's atmosphere. The study estimates that these emissions will contribute a discernible 0.00039 degrees Celsius to global warming. Employing sophisticated climate attribution techniques, the researchers posit that this incremental warming will disproportionately impact global populations, leading to an additional 516,000 individuals experiencing unprecedented heat waves. Furthermore, the delicate ecosystems of the Great Barrier Reef are predicted to suffer the loss of an additional 16 million coral colonies with every future bleaching event. This research comes as scientists for the first time directly link carbon emissions from major oil companies to dozens of deadly heat waves, underscoring the tangible consequences of fossil fuel extraction. The implications extend to human habitability, with the study warning that the project's emissions could push 356,000 people beyond the boundaries of the human climate niche, a critical zone for human survival, defined by an average annual temperature limit of 29 degrees Celsius. This groundbreaking study, published in the esteemed journal Climate Action, represents a significant shift in climate science, focusing on quantifying the specific impacts of individual fossil fuel projects and corporate emitters. In response, a Woodside spokesperson stated that the company is committed to minimizing the Scarborough project's direct greenhouse gas emissions to the lowest reasonably practicable level. This commitment is being addressed through the integration of energy efficiency measures into both the design and operational phases. The spokesperson also emphasized that climate change is a complex phenomenon driven by the cumulative global concentration of greenhouse gases and cannot be attributed to a single event, nation, industry, or activity. However, Andrew King, an associate professor in climate science at the University of Melbourne and a co-author of the study, highlighted that the research powerfully demonstrates the tangible climate impact stemming from individual projects. He countered the common argument that the emissions from such projects are negligible in a global context, asserting that for larger fossil fuel ventures, the impacts are undeniably significant and far from insignificant. Sarah Perkins Kirkpatrick, a professor of climate science at the Australian National University and another co-author, pointed out that within the framework of Australia's emission reduction targets, the Scarborough project will represent an increasingly substantial portion of the nation's carbon dioxide emissions budget in the coming decades. She projects that by 2049, assuming consistent annual emissions, the project alone will consume half of Australia's emissions allowance, encompassing both domestically consumed and exported emissions. Looking beyond 2050, the emissions generated by Scarborough would necessitate carbon dioxide removal from the atmosphere, a prospect that relies on technologies that are either nascent or currently unscalable. The researchers calculated that under a moderate emissions scenario, the warming attributed to Scarborough could result in an additional 484 heat-related deaths across Europe alone by the century's end. Even when accounting for a potential reduction in cold-related deaths in Europe, the study estimates a net contribution of 118 additional fatalities. The methodology employed by the researchers involved utilizing the Transient Climate Response to CO2 Emissions, or TCRE, a tool recognized by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. The TCRE framework estimates that every 1,000 gigatons of CO2 emissions leads to approximately 0.45 degrees Celsius of additional global heating. While the study's authors estimated Scarborough's contribution to global heating to be within a likely range of 0.00024 to 0.00055 degrees Celsius, they acknowledged the inherent limitations in precisely measuring such minute changes in global mean temperature. The researchers propose that this analytical approach offers a valuable tool for governments and corporations to evaluate whether future projects fall within acceptable parameters of environmental and societal risk, potentially influencing project approval processes. Yuming Gua, a professor of global environmental health and biostatistics at Monash University who was not involved in the research, lauded the study as providing a crucial instrument for conducting environmental risk assessments. He underscored the substantial and often overlooked cumulative contribution of emissions from the vast number of fossil fuel projects operating worldwide to the escalating climate crisis. Dr. Kat O'Mara, a senior lecturer in environmental